everybody, welcome back. You don't even have to watch this episode. I don't lose on quarantine, okay? It just doesn't happen. LJ4P G488 with an extra life. Oh my god, we got Judas' Shadow. That's so good. I actually may take advantage of that. Just wanna... It depends on maybe what's in that... screw it. Just go for it, dude. Honestly, like, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna get potentially a little bit dangerous, but the right time to take advantage of Judas' Shadow is definitely right at the beginning. Oh, be careful, though. Like, we now have a damage stat of 7, which is just disgusting. I was really I knew it wouldn't reach, but I was hoping against hope that it would, and I appreciate that a great deal. And we're off to the races. And I gotta tell you, I'm on cloud 9. I mean, obviously there's stuff going on in the world, but today's been a great and productive day. This is episode number 3 of Isaac, but there was a little bit of a delay in the middle. Hold on, I got a weird little screen region thing going on here. There you go. I think it might have only been in my preview window. I had like a weird green artifact. Oh, I clicked off the window again. There you go. It wasn't a Mr. Green Man thing. Hold on, just get these guys out of here. Oh my god, we have the D Infinity. Oh, there was no escaping there. I didn't know it was the D Infinity. I thought it was just the D10. D Infinity, I mean, it basically just means that this run, which is already great, is essentially like almost literally unkillable. We will probably D4 quite a lot. And that is completely okay. D4, D100, whatever it takes. But yeah, like I tweeted about it because it was kind of remarkable. Like today, early in the morning, did a excuse me, not Let's Look At, that series. Why did you say that name? A Northernlion tries of the new Animal Crossing game. Something I didn't even know I would do, but I had a very fun time playing it. And I mean, I've been playing a little off camera as well. Following that, I made March's channel update, talked about some important stuff. Then I did a Hitman Golden Goblet episode. Then I did Checkpoint League, week 3. You know, our good friend Apollo, aka Dumb Dog, set up 10 custom Mario Maker levels and is shoutcasting 1v1 matches of them. If you haven't been watching, go watch. Like, it's actually extremely hype, and they did an amazing job. Well, I say they, it's really just Apollo. Apollo and all the other competitors, myself included. The fact that he went so far as to make the maps, and the maps are amazing, combined with the fact that the casting is on point. It's extremely hype, I would recommend it. And I'm not just saying that because I'm undefeated up to this point. Oh, baby! So I had a good stream there. Following that, recorded 2 Isaac episodes. Then it was time for GeoGuessr. Sinvicta and I recorded 3 episodes of GeoGuessr. Then I recorded a Super Smash Brothers tier list of the characters, which I am unqualified to do, and that's honestly half of the fun. And now here we are recording more Isaac. It's only 8 p.m. I'm being sincere, by the way. I mean, I only started working at like, 11 or so, so it's a bit of a long day, but I like having long days on Friday. Keeps me ahead for the rest of the week. I'm happy to burn the midnight. Happy to burn the midnight oil on Fridays a little bit to make the rest of my week a little bit less hectic, if that makes sense. So it's been a good day. I do also have to say I bought a box of hockey cards, which I collected. Hold on. I'll just pick it up and roll. I collected hockey cards as a youngster. I'm just going to caution you, by the way. I don't think sports cards are necessarily a good investment. But with no hockey season and, the world kind of being under duress, I was like, screw it. I'll buy some hockey cards. Keep me a little bit, not sane, but, to have a little bit of leisure time and, remember a hobby of mine from the yesteryear. So I've been cracking those slowly but surely. Haven't really uncorked anything truly great. I don't know if there is anything truly great to uncork. I'm just having a good time, honestly, just seeing how they look now compared to how they looked when I was like, 10 or 12 years old. Hold on. You will not get me. Oh, you're gonna get me. I screwed up. I should have kept shooting there. Why stand there? Just for the record, me. Why stand there? Still, you did okay. Magic Mush is just disgustingly good. It's better than we have any right getting there. We have 20 damage. Our damage stat is 20. Mr. Boom? Not that huge, but a damage stat of 20 is just disgusting. Now, of course, we're going to D-Infinity, like, I don't want to say non-stop, but, you know, with only 5 items, we're going to D-Infinity until we get some truly great stuff, so I wouldn't be too concerned about what we got going on here. I wouldn't get too attached to it. So, yeah, it's been kind of a... I don't want to call it like an eventful day, but it's been a fulfilling day. Let's put it that way. I always like a day, you know, look, I built my channel, basically like the bread and butter of my channel is being able to sit down for 10 hours and play the same game over and over and over again while summoning out of thin air, even I don't know where it comes from, a seemingly endless, although actually surprisingly repeated series of stories, anecdotes, and opinions over the course of, you know, 30 or 40 minutes on average. I'm happy to get the stat there. I'm happy to get the HP, don't get me wrong. Oh, I didn't realize we had Goat Head, so we're getting to deal with the devil. I wonder if we reroll off of Goat Head for this floor, if we'll still have 100%. I bet we do. We might be able to test that here. But that being said, it's always nice when you get a chance to have some variety as well. It helps. I try to bring the heat at all times. Ooh, careful. But I definitely, I cannot deny, it's easier to keep the commentary fresh when you're mixing in new stuff on a daily basis. Or, you know, on a couple hourly basis. So, okay, that's fine. That's actually completely fine. So it's been a good day like that. Tomorrow's my day off. I have no idea what I'm going to do because you can't really leave the house. You know what I'm probably going to do is play so much Animal Crossing that I see it in my head when I try to fall asleep. I bet that's going to be... number one is going to be playing so much Animal Crossing that I dream about pulling weeds off of my island. And that's not a euphemism for manscaping. Just keep it moving here. That and, I was hoping, and at this point it's always weird, because Isaac has the longest backlog. It's not very long right now, it's around a week, which is pretty standard for... I mean, we've had Isaac backlogs that were as long as, like, you know, 20-plus days in the past. So a week is not really that much in the whole scheme of things for me. But still, like, some of the stuff I'm talking about has already come out. You're like, why is he talking about these old videos? Well, they're not old yet, they're not even new yet. They're so new, they're not even out. But, you know, it's pretty impressive to me that really snuck up on me, but sometime this week we're going to hit 100 Northernlion tries without having missed a day so far. A couple days it came close to missing. You know, I've uploaded day of on occasion. You know, in the doldrums of December and January when no games were coming out. Well, that's a little bit insulting, but you know what I mean. When very few marquee games were coming out during that period. Sometimes we ran into trouble. But yeah, just 100 days, over 3 months of... Did we pick up something in here? We didn't. Let's reroll just to get charges going here. Ay, yay. Take me down. But yeah, a little over 3 months, never having skipped a day. Played a lot of good games over that time period, of course. But then on top of that, you know, I wanted to do a top 10 list to highlight not just like the top 10 best games, but like the top 10 best videos in the Northernlion Tries series. Because, like, first off, honestly, I have just enough space in my schedule to fit it in. And secondly, you know, with any long-running series, a question that comes up now and then is like, what episodes are the best? And although it's nice to, you know, just tell people, hey, they're all the best, just watch them all. I don't know if, you know, that's realistic. I'd almost like to create like a criterion collection for Northernlion Tries. You know, where I only like 1 in 5, like the best 20 or 10%, you make it in there, and then I worry that people would be like, well, I'm not going to watch live anymore. I'm just going to wait for, like, whatever the best episodes are. But I think it could be cool as well to do it, like, once every few months. Once every 100 episodes or something, just to keep things fresh there, and maybe even have a little bit of new outreach as a result, you know? A little bit more new business as a result of making a video like that. So that's on my to-do list. I don't know, that might not get done this weekend, but really, like, the D10 nonstop, huh? It's definitely on the to-do list. So that's cool, dude. It's been a busy day. I'm stoked to be having a good day. Hope you're in the same boat here, no matter when this video strikes you. Staying well, all things considered. Pruning your island, trading fruits with your friends, and all that good stuff. I have to take it so that we can introduce guppy items in, so we can start to get the transformation. I'll tell you straight up, this is like the least safe Infinity run we've had in a long time. I really don't want to. You're like, why aren't you doing rooms? If you do rooms, you could get to the shop, you could buy some spirit hearts, blah, blah, blah. I hear you, and in principle, I think that's definitely a decent idea, but I also am like, if we do 2 rooms, like we just got right here, we could get a reroll and reroll to a run that has HP. So I think I would rather try to do that than maybe risk walking into, like, the kind of room that perfectly hard counters us and screws me up a little bit. This run, I love Succubus. Succubus plus a good damage stat is a very, it's an offer that's hard to refuse. Yeah, I saw that one coming a mile away. But we'll probably D4 this one right away. Hate to lose Succubus, but, I mean, you know the deal. We're rolling until we get Tech X. What the heck do we have here? He's very large. There's some largeness here. I do appreciate the speed upgrade. I'm large and I'm fast. Why do I feel so slow? Something is weird here. Okay, Boneheart has disappeared. It probably wasn't sticking around anyway. But yeah, it's been a good day. Honestly, I never thought I would be in this camp. Like, when I saw reviews of Animal Crossing that were like, this is the game the world needs right now, I kind of, you know, I wasn't rude about it, but I rolled my eyes a little bit. That was like, you know, how therapeutic could it be? And then, now I'm like, you know what? I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Just have a nice little day, and, you know, I probably can't play Animal Crossing for more than a few hours before I start to see Tom Nook in my dreams, but we'll see how it goes, you know? We'll see how it goes. I am excited. I'm gonna have such a clean and neat island. Oh, baby, and it's gonna have all 6 kinds of fruits. It's gonna be a dream come true. I got an idea. What if you removed the D12 from the game because it doesn't do anything? Okay. No, I'm not. Don't get negative. Stay positive. Like a Hold Steady album that is pretty good, but not nearly as good as Boys and Girls in America. Look, stay positive is fine. It's got, you know, subpoenaed in Texas, sequestered in Memphis. It's a sing-along jam. Certainly not bad. But Boys and Girls in America, oh my god, it's like I was gonna call it modern, but I think that album came out in like 2005, but it's like a modern day Bruce Springsteen, Jungle Land sort of tone poem. The state of being a festival kid in the mid-2000s. What are you talking about? I don't know. Sometimes I just like to string words together because they sound nice. Battery charge? Yo, battery charge. Give me a quick reroll. Give me this. Gimme, 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 A Man After Midnight. Great song.
Ace of clubs. Ace of hearts.
Ace of clubs. Ace of hearts. Okay, send me, dude. We're looking for that D100 roll. You know we're on depths. Yeah, depths 1. Should be angling for a workable long-term solution on this run sometime soon. This run is great. Right? I mean, it's been greater. Not to be negative, but it has been greater. But it's still doing some pretty good stuff for us here. But, you know, we're looking for something a little bit more bombastic. But I don't want to just waste our D6. Although, we probably should be wasting our D6 to get faster charges, because it's not like we're intending to stick with any of the items we got anyway. So yeah, just get that trash out of here. Easy enough. Just keep it going. Just take a deep breath, keep cycling the lungs. It's like Checkpoint League. We don't get to control the randomness. We don't get to control the levels. You know, the levels were already made. All we can do is keep our psyche in a good position. I really think, like, I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, or too high on my own supply, but really think the reason that I was able to get through that second Dark Souls randomizer, which was a ton of fun, but also very punishing, was just because I've gained over the years an incredible tolerance for swallowing my pride. Sincerely. And on top of that, I don't mind losing in video games. In fact, I think because I've lost so much in video games, I've become adept at losing in video games, which is very nice. You know, it means that when Seath and Priscilla are just bodying me endlessly on the Undead Parish rooftops, I don't let it get me down. I've been trying to, and this is now where I get high on my own supply, apparently, start believing the things I'm saying. I think it's a useful lesson for life that I'm trying to apply as well, to be honest, you know? The idea that, like, you know, in a weird way, it's almost better to, like, lose a lot before you win. Because when you lose a lot, you learn a lot. Like, you know how much I learned about fighting Seath by having to fight Seath 500 times? I know everything there is to know about fighting both Seath and Priscilla now. If we ever do a randomizer again, we don't have to worry about them because, you know, depending on the arena they show up in, we might not beat them first try, but it's not going to take us as long as it took us this time. So not only did we win eventually, but we learned a very valuable lesson in the interim period as well. If somebody went through that fight and they won on their first try, no, I rerolled the D-Infinity. What's wrong with me? Let's go. Okay, alright. I mean, everything's okay, but that was dumb. So I guess we're stuck. Luckily, our stats are incredible, but it was a foolhardy mistake, I will admit. Oh, and now I ruined my deal with the devil. I mean, the run is not in danger of being a train wreck. It's unbelievably good, but still, that was dumb. But yeah, you know, I've been thinking about that with respect to... I mean, it's not like I've lived a hard life, just to be honest. I know just saying that will, like, rub people the wrong way, but, you know, what would you rather I did? Like, pretended to have lived a super hard life? I mean, you never know where things are going, but, like, the way things have gone so far, I've, you know, been insulated from a lot of the stuff that a lot of people have to deal with. I'm very thankful, and I acknowledge it, you know? I'm not trying to pretend that I've gone, you know, because I'm sure we all know people in our lives who seem to live, you know, pretty nice existences, but they're like, oh, you wouldn't understand. I went to the grocery store and they didn't have the kind of oat milk I wanted. This is outrageous. I want to speak to your manager. You know, they don't keep things in perspective. I can't control the... Let's do it. I can't control, you know, the circumstances I've been dealt. Nor would I really want to be honest, but I can at least acknowledge that I've had it easier than a lot of people. But, you know, when I take an L in life, I'm starting to learn to acknowledge that, hey, it would have been perhaps more pleasant not to take this, but the best way maybe to look at this is that I learned a valuable lesson in addition to, you know, also eventually getting to that W status. That's the way I choose to look at it right now. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes they still get you down, but... You know, you have an idea in your head, maybe you can get there one day. I guess that's the dream. So I am trying to teleport out of here. Our damage stat is, like, really good. For sure. But I still, you know, just from a time standpoint, I wouldn't mind getting out of here. I'm loving the static tiers, don't get me wrong on that one. I mean, I wouldn't have done boss rush if I didn't think it was, like, worth it, but... It's alright, it'll pad the video length a little bit. But yeah, that's why I honestly think losing's a valuable lesson, you know? I don't have great insights into the way that we should, you know, shape our culture, but I do think we should get people used to losing a lot. I feel like winning too much too fast kind of spoils the broth, you know what I mean? Like, the way I think about it is, like, if you grew up as, like, a New England Patriots fan and you're roughly my age, don't take this the wrong way, but it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to have that kind of relatable misery that a lot of sports fans have. I'll give you some perspective as a Vancouver Canucks fan. Although I am only, you know, 5 or 6 years into the fandom since I moved here. The team has never won the Stanley Cup. They've made it to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 times. 2 of those times, they lost in 7 games, which is like, you know, is the maximum number of games it could take. So they got as close as you could conceivably come. And they haven't made it in 3 years. By the way, the last time they made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs, when they lost, the city rioted, and the city became like a national laughingstock that has only recently perhaps subsided. Still a lot of riot jokes out there, which is very callous, because, you know. So you talk to your average Canucks fan, they weren't like, oh yeah, I was stoked to riot. You know, if you talk to your average Canucks fan, you're like, you realize they went home as soon as possible, and it was just, you know, some bad actors causing problems. That's why I always laugh when I'm like, you know, Toronto fans make fun of Vancouver for rioting. It's like, your city rioted? This rioted in my lifetime? Now, it was over the G8. It's a little different, maybe, than hockey. But anyway, nobody's defending the riots. But regardless, you know, if you're a New England Patriots fan, you just can't have that kind of perspective, you know? Well, they were bad for 4 years before I had memory, and then they've been pretty much perennial playoff favorites ever since, you know? You just gotta own it. I think learning to lose is one of the most helpful skills that you can get. I wish, honestly, like, I was kind of a sore loser as a kid. Maybe even a very sore loser, and I'll tell you why. I was an only child, so I played a lot of video games, and I just played games that I won because those were the most fun, you know? So whenever I would lose in a game, it took me a little while, longer than probably people who have siblings, especially like an older sibling. It took me longer than I'd like to admit to get to the point where I was like, losing is totally fine. Now, being a streamer forces you to swallow your pride, because everybody in chat is always a professional at whatever game you're playing. Which is fine, you know, I understand it's always easier to look and see where things went wrong than to diagnose it in the moment. But yeah, I think learning to lose is very valuable. Like, I think there's 2 approaches you can take. You can try to get as good as possible at video games or at any skill, and I think there's merit in that. Like, I don't not try, if that makes sense. But at the same time, if you're learning to get good, to feel the sting of a loss less often, you've already lost. Because these games are designed around having an MMR system for the most part, where, you know, if everything's working appropriately, you're gonna win 50% of your games and lose 50% of your games. So the only privilege you get by doing better is facing harder opponents in the future. hard truths, but still. If you're trying to get good for a sense of personal satisfaction, there's that. If you just want to avoid the sting of losing, my best advice to you is to learn to embrace it. It can do you a lot of good. Swallowing your pride, it's very advantageous. Dan and I, we actually talked about this on Check the Wire on an episode that probably only went up a couple of days ago. But, you know, one of my tips for life, and Dan said it was one of his tips for life as well, is, you know, apologizing early and often. You know, even in situations where you might feel like an apology is not warranted. You don't lose anything by apologizing. You only gain by apologizing. I think what people are concerned with when they are slow to apologize is there's like a shift in a power dynamic, or they're worried like, oh, if I apologize for this, then I'm going to have to apologize for everything. It's probably happened, but the odds of that happening, I think, are low. You know, if you're talking about somebody that you got respect for and that has respect for you, I really feel like even if you Let me put it this way. To distill it as simply as possible, my advice is be slower with your explanations and quicker with your apologies. You know, a lot of people, when they apologize, they're like, before the words, I'm sorry, I screwed up, blah, 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 come out of their mouths, it's, well, you know, I'm sorry if you feel that way, but I was under a lot of stress today. You know, I had this, this, and this going on in my life. And even if it's valid, and even if they're sensitive to what you're saying, the I'm sorry I screwed up, I'm going to make this right, it'll always, in my experience at least, always or almost always get you way more mileage way faster. That's my advice to you. Don't grow up. I know a lot of people are going to be disagreeing with this, but I'm leaning into it fairly hard. Yo, talk about, we screwed it up anyway, but that was a pretty good Death's List room. It doesn't cost you anything to apologize. I think a lot of people are very concerned with this art of the deal sort of stuff appearing to have the upper hand, and if you ever apologize, you lost, blah, blah, blah. You don't understand, NL, is the principle of the thing. Maybe I don't understand the principle of the thing. But for me, it's like, if I got to apologize 10 times for every time the other person in the interaction apologizes, and that keeps things copacetic, then I'm happy to do it. Keep things going smoothly. I apologize all the time. Most recently, I'll tell you, for the Golden Goblet, we were talking about, this is for the Sega one, we were talking about whether or not Sonic should be scored based on time or scored based on the score that the game provides you. And I was adamantly on the side, not time, sorry, distance. I was adamantly on the side of, like, whoever gets furthest should be counted with the victory. And Malf was on the side of, like, well, they have a score built into the game, so why don't we use that? And it didn't even get, like, to be a real argument. But I was kind of like, you know, I'll admit, maybe a little bit dismissive. I was like, it doesn't make any sense why we would ever, you know, use score. Nobody even knows that Sonic has a score. We should 100% use distance. Like, anybody would agree with me. And then the next day, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I believe I'm right. But at the same time, I didn't have to go that hard on it. We're talking about, you know, a children's video game and a tournament for fun. So, you know, I got in Malf's mentions, and I say, hey, dude, you know, I mean, we've been friends for, like, over a decade. But I got into his mentions, and I was like, hey, dude, I don't think you were, like, actually upset. But at the same time, you know, I'd like to apologize. I think I went a little hard last night on the Sonic stuff, which in the whole scheme of things is, like, essentially a non-issue completely. So I hope it didn't dampen your evening, and it's completely my bad. You can ask Malf. He'll tell you that that's how that went down. And of course, he was like, you know, it was not a big deal at all, but I appreciate it. You know, this could be you, but you're playing. Instead, a lot of people out there, I think they'll, and I'm not a person that's above having faults and holding grudges, but, you know, instead they'll be like, there's no way I am apologizing. Maybe I went too far, but I was right. So they, if anything, they should be apologizing to me for forcing me to argue. And then, you know, you don't talk to them for like 10 years, and you're like, well, why did you guys have a falling out? And you're like, you know, taking a long drag off a cigarette. Like, Sonic. It's just silly to me. It's just a silly, it's just a game, you know? The phrase, it's just a game is such a weak mindset. You know, you get the idea. It's you know what it is. You know what it is. You know what it do. Bookworm? Sure. I mean, this run, statistically, from a stat standpoint, is real nice. However, I do wish that I wasn't a fool and had not lost the D-Infinity. But definitely the run turned out to be markedly above average no matter what. I'm starting to realize I think that we are going in the wrong direction. It's hard to tell, honestly. I wish I hadn't... Oh, let's go. I wish I hadn't lost the D-Infinity, but, I mean, it was 100% my fault. It's happened abundantly recently, which is funny. Last time I lost it was on a D6 room. That's okay, we still had a good one here. And I've told you many times, I do not lose while I'm on quarantine. I told you not to watch this episode, and it's for obvious reasons. We don't lose on quarantine. If we don't lose on quarantine, why even watch? You know, there's no point. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, I'll see you tomorrow. Click the like button, subscribe. Helps out a great deal. And of course, I'll see you next time. See ya!